The algorithm of failure is not a series of unfortunate accidents or a streak of bad luck, but a perfectly designed piece of predatory software running on the corrupted hardware of your subconscious, effectively ensuring that your life remains a sepia-toned struggle despite the high-performance landscape of 2026. You look at the E's and NQ markets and see manipulation. But in the clinical reality of the market survival archive, we recognize that you are simply navigating the high-stakes void with a 2016 roadmap that was never meant to survive the current era of autonomous AI agents and institutional liquidity sweeps. Your life is a recursive loop, a biological sequence of buggy code where every decision to enter a trade or abandon a project is dictated by the hope-panic sequence, a catastrophic logic error that forces you to trade your neurochemistry instead of the data. It begins with the entry, where the small self initiates the hope subroutine, ignoring technical red flags because your ego is now tied to the pips, only to be met by the inevitable market hunt for liquidity that triggers a buffer overflow in your nervous system. This is where the identity alarm screams, perceiving success as a threat to your current baseline and forcing a self-sabotage sequence that makes you move your stop-loss or revenge trade, effectively capping your external growth at the level of your internal self-image. You sit in your residence in Kawaribga, 20 years old and standing at the precipice of professional sovereignty, yet you find yourself executing the same small version scripts that have kept you as a drowning bystander. This is the technical debt of your identity, a mounting interest rate of hesitation and fear that you pay every time you choose the comfort of a Motorola distraction over the clinical precision of a technical build. You are trying to run Science Sentinel results on a motherboard that is still processing the outdated trauma of past failures, failing to realize that the market is not a place for effort, but a cold arena for the execution of superior logic. This biomechanical failure extends into your very physiology, where cortisol floods your system at the first sign of a pullback, overriding your prefrontal cortex and turning an elite operator into a panicked prey animal. The latency tax you pay is not measured in milliseconds, but in the months of progress you lose every time you hesitate to click execute, because you are waiting for a certainty that the market never provides. You are navigating the 2026 void through a small window of digital noise, often distracted by the lightmatica of useless data and the ghost of your past academic or professional efforts, failing to see that the whales have already mapped your pain points. To fix the system, you must initiate a total format of the drive, declaring war on the emotional bloatware and installing the Science Sentinel protocol, which replaces hope and panic with clinical if-then logic gates. This means that if a setup does not meet 5-point technical criteria, the mouse on your HP ProBook 450G5 is moved away with zero debate, and if a trade is active, the stop-loss remains a hard-coded anchor that you never touch. You must recognize the identity bug, that internal thermostat that tries to give back profit to return to the comfort of the struggle, and observe it with the detachment of an operator watching code scroll on a screen. This is the zero-start formula, a stripping away of the eternal student trap and the just-in-case learning model in favor of the clinical precision required to manage accounts with FTMO, funded next, or funding pips. The bottleneck isn't the technology or the market volatility. It is the structural integrity of your own attention span and your willingness to let the always aware, socially connected version of yourself die so the operator can be born. You must realize that the high-stakes world of futures trading is fundamentally a war of attention, where the shadowy ghost of your old self is constantly trying to pull your hand away from greatness. By transitioning your mindset from a pattern matcher to a predator, you begin to see that the institutional whales do not look for support. They look for the pools of retail liquidity hidden beneath your perfect setups. Every time you check a notification on your Moto G04s during a session, You are physically leaking the energy required to bridge the identity gap. The 4-month transformation is not a suggestion. It is a mechanical necessity to rewrite the neural pathways that have been hardened by years of small self survival. You are currently executing a perfectly designed path to failure, but by implementing the mirror protocol and building a cyan dome of absolute focus, you can bridge the identity gap and transition into the role of a professional operator who treats a $100,000 payout as a neutral data point rather than an emotional crisis. This evolution requires you to treat your creative output for market survival with the same robotic discipline you apply to a NASDAQ 100 scalp, moving beyond the noise of Steam or Riot games and into the silent void where real value is created. You must delete the just-in-case curriculum that clutters your HP ProBook and replace it with the just-in-time execution of an autonomous agent builder. The market is a zero-sum game of predatory logic that doesn't care about your why, your effort, or your dreams. It only rewards the quality of the code you execute in the silence of the fortress. You must be willing to format your own identity, deleting the version of you that finds comfort in the struggle, so that you can finally claim your territory as a sentinel in the new economy. The mirror split is widening, and the choice is yours. Continue running the algorithm of failure or execute the system-wide override that leads to clinical sovereignty. Reclaim your sovereignty from the machines designed to steal it, because in the light of the Science Sentinel, the noise of the past is nothing more than a debugged line of code that no longer has the power to crash your future. The mirror split is widening, and the choice is yours. Stay in the noise or claim the silence. If you are ready to kill the ghost and initiate the cognitive fortress, you need the blueprints. Join the market's survival fortress. Step into the private archive where we build in the void and execute with clinical precision.